Welcome to Facing Race 14 Google Hangout. My name is Tara Conley, and I'm going to be moderating this wonderful panel session that we have today. I want to thank everyone, first of all, out there in social media land for joining us. We had a bunch of RSVPs, so we know you're out there watching. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this Google Hangout is going to be a chat. It's going to be an informational session, all things facing race. So we will be taking your questions live on air. Make sure that you tweet us at Facing Race 14 Q&A, and we will answer your questions as they come in. So the reason why you're here, Facing Race. We have a Facing Race conference coming up in next month, less than 2 months away, in Dallas, Texas, from November 13th through the 15th. It will be held at the Hilton Anatole Hotel. This year's Facing Race is going to be bigger than ever before. In addition to offering more workshops than previous Facing Race, we will also have a special collaboration with the Curran Institute for Race and Ethnicity at The Ohio State University, and this collaboration with Curran will make our research and policy track better than ever. So I want to get right into it because I know you guys are here for questions and you want to learn more about Facing Race, so let's get into it. We have our guest joining us today, Executive Director of Race Forward, Rinku Sen, along with Leadership Action Network Director at Race Forward, Rosanna Cruz. Welcome, hey. Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you all on Google Hangout. Let's start with Rinku. Welcome.
Thank you. It's really, obviously can't see any of the people who are listening and watching, but really happy to know that you're there. And really, really excited that so many of you are coming to Facing Race this year. The staff and board at Race Forward we look forward to this event for 2 years at a time. We only do it every other year. And so we put a lot of love and care and thinking and energy into making it just really an effective gathering. Facing Race is the biggest, as far as I know, multiracial gathering of people who care about racial justice in the country, and that diversity, that inclusiveness is a lot of what makes our gathering so special, and it's a lot of what the board and staff looks forward to, as well as what I think participants look forward to. This year we're expecting more than 1,300 people. The conference happens right after the election, so we imagine that there will be quite a number of state-of-the-nation kinds of things to talk about. And what we'll be doing, who you can expect to see there, are organizers, artists, scholars, big thinkers, writers, activists, community leaders, public officials, people who are running government agencies, philanthropists, and folks who are working in foundations and social justice philanthropy. So we really do gather both racially and in terms of discipline all of the different kinds of people who are invested in making racial justice come into existence. This year we're going to be having 67 workshops, 4 plenary sessions. Rosanna, I think, will describe some of those more. And before I wrap, I just would like to do my own shout out to our local partners in Dallas who recruited us, really sold us on Dallas as the place where we needed to have Facing Race this year, and who have helped us build a great local host committee, who have helped us really understand the region and the city and some of the things that local folks might need in Facing Race to get the most out of it. So big shout out to the crowd at Dallas Faces Race, and a personal shout out to the Curran. Curran has been our closest partner, particularly on the research and policy track of workshops. They curated those workshops with us, and we'll be presenting many of those workshops. And they are among our top colleagues in the country and really research and policy resources related to race. We'll stop there and just say again how excited we are to see everybody in Dallas in just about 6 weeks from now, and how happy we are that you're joining us for this Hangout.
I think we might be having a bit of a connection difficulty here. 1 second. Should be on. Rinku, are you still with us?
I'm here, but I don't think you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Oh, yes, I'm here. I'm not sure what
okay.
camera, but I am definitely here.
I can hear you now. We're back. Yay! Okay, great. Cool. So, Tara, would you like me to launch into talking about some of the amazing content? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I couldn't hear. I thought Rinku was still going. My bad. Technology. We just love you so much. Yes, Rosanna, please, would you do us the honors of going into?
I can't wait. We have put together such an amazing program. I just want to say one of the beautiful things about Facing Race, and the first Facing Race I went to was in New York in 2007, long before I joined the Race Forward team, and it's just such a beautiful community building event. And so the program really reflects this amazing community that has been built over all these years. So we have 3 tracks. We have an arts, culture, and media track, which is really covering all different corners of the arts, culture, and media world. We're going to be talking about internet surveillance. We're going to be talking about designing socially just and aware events. We have some great presenters who are going to be talking about popular culture. I'm really excited about the Olivia Pope Notwithstanding workshop, which is going to have a big draw, I'm sure. We're going to have a beautiful art gallery that's going to complement a lot of the art content. So the art and media representation at the conference is going to be really strong, and we're really excited that so many people wanted to participate, especially Thursday night. Our opening event is going to feature primarily Dallas artists, and so that's really exciting that folks will come in and right away get a sense of the Dallas local culture. And we're also really excited that Hari Kondabalu is joining us, and he's going to be doing a special comedy event at the end of the opening event on Thursday night. We'll launch right into our plenaries on Friday morning. We'll have this really great, vibrant collection of folks who are doing a youth plenary that's called This Is How We Do It. It's going to be talking about youth-led racial justice movements right now. We've got some great folks on that panel, and we're also just excited about the kind of experts that are also going to be joining us and talking about kind of the research and the policy papers and the kind of background that's happening when we talk about racial justice movement building. That's a big part of the Kirwan Institute's contribution, which we're really excited about. We'll also then have our keynote, which I'm most excited about. It's super hype, and a big shout out to Dr. Bernice Johnson-Regan and Toshi Regan, and someone that I've recently gotten a chance to know a little bit is Tashawn Regan, who is the daughter of Toshi and granddaughter of Dr. Regan, and continuing a legacy of amazing, powerful work as a young person who's following this trajectory of artists and activists who have been involved in the movement for racial justice for decades. And so that intergenerational conversation as our keynote is a really big highlight and a really, I think, a never before, right? 3 generations on one stage at Facing Race. And, you know, to really bring out a conversation that we're talking about that's race and that's a big focus that we have at Race Forward, is recognizing that the racial justice movement is not a silo. It's not something that's happening in isolation. It's happening within and through and overlapping and interconnected with all these justice movements, gender justice, environmental justice. We have a big representation of reproductive justice groups that are coming, and we're really excited about the content that they're going to be providing. Dr. Andy Smith is going to be there, and they're doing a really great workshop, breakout session on bodily integrity and reproductive rights for women of color, which I'm super excited about. And then it's going to be so hot, the party that we throw on Friday night. I'm really excited about that. I know that people are looking forward to it. We've got an amazing lineup of performers, including Mangas with Chili, FM Supreme, who's an MC out of Chicago, Las Crudas Cubensi from Cuba via Austin, Texas, and from our own New Orleans, songstress Michaela Harrison. So that's going to be a great show. And then after the show, we're going to have just a bangin' dance party. And we're really going to get to show, you know, we always talk about after the revolution, we're going to do this. After the, you know what we're going to do? We're going to dance and celebrate. And that's what the party's going to be a little taste of on Friday night. And it's a lot to cover. I'll just give some tastes of what's going to happen on Saturday. Saturday, I'm most excited about the Southern Plenary because we really have a big focus on the South. I live in New Orleans, and we've got a big representation of folks who are talking about the work that we've been doing, you know, for generations here in the South, intersectional work, liberation work for so many different communities centered on racial justice. And so the Southern Plenary in the morning is going to be really hot. We're really excited about that session, and we're also lifting up our Better Together work, which is our LGBTQ racial justice work in the South, which we're going to have a workshop session that's going to be featuring that work and bringing together the different groups that are participating in that. And then we're going to close out Saturday with a huge bang, which is our Next 50 plenary. We've got some big thinkers talking about racial justice, and I'll let Rinku jump in a little bit on that one because that's kind of her highlight event. I'm really looking forward to these just brilliant minds that are going to be representing in our closing plenary on Saturday.
So do you want me to talk about that closing plenary? All right, that's cute.
Great, yeah, let's get into that plenary there.
So the closing plenary is called the Next 50, and it's based on the idea that this is such an important 50th anniversary year this year of really big changes. And that was true last year too, and it'll keep being true for a couple of years, because in the 1960s we had a tremendous period of change in this country. So this year is the 50th anniversary of the passage of the Civil Rights Act, which I will argue is the most important piece of racial justice legislation since the Emancipation Proclamation. And given that we're 50 years out from such an important historical moment, we wanted to look 50 years out from here. So the idea behind the Next 50 was, you know, what's our next 50 years going to look like, and how should we think about what we're trying to accomplish over that coming 2 generations. We're now 2 generations out from the Civil Rights Act. We've had 2 generations of time to experience the results and the impact of that act. And what we do now, how we conduct ourselves as a movement over the next couple of years, is what people are going to be feeling the impact of 2 generations from now. So to spark our thinking and our, get our juices flowing, we have three great people. I'm one of them, so it's weird to call myself great, but I'm going to just go ahead and do it. My colleagues on that panel, or in that session, are Ian Haney Lopez, who is a professor at UC Berkeley and who is the author of Dog Whistle Politics and has done a ton of thinking about demographic change in our country and what those changes signify and how how becoming a majority people of color country might play out around racial politics. And it's not all good, it's not all happy, and Ian is asking the question of whether demographics are going to rescue our country from racial inequity. And I won't preview his answer so that he can have the experience of hearing it for yourselves. The next person who's going to be in that plenary is Van Jones, who is the co-host of CNN's show Crossfire, the show on which liberals and conservatives debate social policy and current public policy. And Van is also the founder and director of Rebuild the Dream, doing all kinds of wonderful things in the racial justice and economic justice space as well. And of course, best-selling author and lots of history under his belt. So Van is going to talk about the future of strategy and where we should be putting our strategic energy and what kinds of strategies we ought to be coming up with in the next 50 years. And then I'm the last person in that lineup, and I'm going to be talking about the future of cross-racial unity and multiracial alliance building. And given what we know about what the next 50 years are going to look like, what the next century is going to look like, how do we do that part of our work, and what might be possible if we in fact do it well and are able to build real strong unity and alliances between communities of color and as a whole country. So that's what the next 50 is going to look like.
It's amazing. So I know that one of the things that we are also looking forward to are the keynote address, and I know that Rosanna, you mentioned a little bit about it. Can we have a little bit of a sneak preview about what folks can expect for that keynote?
Yeah. So for folks who aren't familiar with Dr. Bernice Johnson Reagan, she's an historian and one of the original freedom singers. She's worked with the Smithsonian Cultural Institute and is kind of one of the founders of the cultural organizing movement, and also just a huge figure in the kind of civil rights cultural side. And so Dr. Reagan founded Sweet Honey in the Rock, which is a musical group that many people are familiar with, and is just an amazing songwriter and artist in her own right. And then also her music, she's used her music to create a real strong spiritual presence in the movement spaces that she's been in. And so we're really excited about the way that she not only does that, so she performs, but she also teaches about that and teaches about the role that song and cultural organizing played in the civil rights movement and in movements since then. And her daughter Toshi, who's an artist, a musician and songwriter, and who y'all should definitely check out, go right to YouTube and check out some of Toshi's music. It's really great. Toshi brings this kind of rock and roll edge to that tradition and moves it into the different space, a more urban space, a more updated space, and has done a lot of work around LGBTQ visibility and building community and, just the way in which arts show up in more recent movements. And then, we've got Tashawn, who's a college student who's doing organizing on her campus around race and gender and issues of privilege and looking at power and how people relate to that. So we've got this kind of panoply of issues and intersections that we're going to be talking about in these folks who embody this work. So it's going to be a really great event, and I'm thrilled that we were able to get them. And the music is, the music alone is just so soul-stirring and so hot, and just, you know, you're just gonna be lifted out of your seat. And then on top of that, it's food for your mind too. So I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I think that it's a boon for us to have them.
One of the interesting kind of notes about the conference is that it is intergenerational. There are some workshops that are going to be youth-focused, and there's going to be also some organizing stuff. Can you talk, Rinku or Rizana, can you talk a little bit about sort of the importance of like bringing young people and older people and all sorts of generations together to kind of get this work and talk through some of the important issues in racial justice?
Yeah, you know, that's a really important thing to us as an organization, that we recognize that we're part of a multi-generational movement, and that we do our best to contribute constructively to unity between the generations, for example. And I think that you know, organizing has changed so much in the last 10 years with the advent of technology and the internet, our ability to make our own media, people using Facebook and Twitter, and even just also texting and email as methods of communicating with each other and of building consensus, making decisions, mobilizing, and sharing analysis, you know, deepening our understanding of both the problems that we're confronting, but also what kinds of solutions people are putting into place around the country, and what it really takes to make those solutions run. And I think that you know, one of my favorite comments from the last Facing Race was from someone who wrote in a comment, "I'm 75, I've been to 1 million race conferences over the 60 years I've been doing this work and involved in this movement, and what I love about this one is the variety and breadth both of race and issue, but also of age." So clearly our seniors are really energized by knowing that there are people continuing the work and being able to actually, you know, engage those people, talk to those people, and find out what's on the younger generation's minds. And then I think for younger people, you know, from 18 up to like 50 even, I think that having access to some of the people who are considered luminaries in our movement, some of the people that you might read a lot or have heard lecture, or you might have seen them on videos, that kind of access is really special. And just having a space in which we can be peers to each other with our different experiences, but where we can be in community together and learn from each other. It's just it's not something everybody gets to experience in the course of their daily life, trying to move racial justice forward wherever they are. So since we have that kind of capacity, we have those relationships, that's a really important service and space that we try to provide.
Totally makes sense. And I mean, I'm looking forward to it as just someone who's like very tech and media oriented, and as someone who looks at youth cultures, I think this is going to be an amazing opportunity for so many different folks to get together and talk about these issues. And we have our special guest that just joined us, Malkia Cyril. Can you hear us okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, and we can see you. We're so happy to have you. Malkia A. Cyril is the co-founder and executive director of the Center of Media Justice. For more than 20 years, Malkia has organized social justice coalitions, resources, and advocacy for media rights, access and representation across the United States. You can follow Malkia on Twitter at CultureJedi. I absolutely love that Twitter handle. But you could also just talk to her right now. We're so happy to have you with us. You are one of the many esteemed presenters that we have presenting at Facing Race in November 13th through the 15th. Can you talk to us a little bit about your presentation, which right now it is entitled Racing Up Your Movement? What can we expect from you and your panelists, your co-panelists, next month at Facing Race?
Well, the incredible thing about this conversation, which Rinku and I have had at many different venues, is that it really embodies the purpose of the entire conference on some level, right? How do you begin to confront all the different ways in which structural racism impacts your ability to build a movement? And what happens in movements where, you know, reform strategies that really are often located in D.C. or that are located within either electoral politics or other realms in which communities of color have been systematically prevented from participation. What happens when that is the location of change, right? And what we talk about in this conversation is how to, one, shift the location of change, two, transform the kind of leaders who are at the front lines of these struggles, and three, really build a new approach to that really transforms our capacity to confront structural racism at scale. And so that's some of what we looked at. We look at in the food movement, you know, we looked at in the media reform movement, and across social justice sectors. So I'm excited, you know, I'm excited because this, to me, is in fact some of the most central questions, some of the most central questions that we have as a movement to answer. So I'm really looking forward to being on a panel with some other brilliant people and having this conversation with folks at Facing Race. So I hope that answers.
Can I say something?
That's great. Now, yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something about the workshop too, actually? So, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you a little bit. You're a little bit off there, but go ahead. We'll get through it.
Okay.
Rosanna, can you hear us?
Yeah. So, connection to you, racial dimension to you, but others in the movement say things like, well, you know, we work on the environment, we don't work on LGBT rights. It frustrates you, and you want to figure out how to insert a racial analysis and strategy into whatever bigger movement you're part of. This is going to be the workshop where you get really about how to do that from successfully. We're still in the midst of doing. A great thing about our movement is that we're willing to teach it while we're learning it, and I think because there's no time to wait from Malkia that session. They're in the midst of doing it. They're teaching while they're learning, and they're perfect. Both their successes and, you know, their difficulties with other people who are trying to do the same thing. And I think that's the ethic that all of the workshop presenters and all of the teachers and panelists and artists are coming to Facing Race with.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Can you?
Awesome.
I'm a little the connection is a little bit off. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we just love Wi-Fi, don't we? Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna have a question for Malkia. You were mentioning your workshop. Who are you in this sort of these sort of presentations and workshops represent. Who is your audience, and who is your ideal audience? I think we know that a lot of folks that are coming to Facing Race are, organizers, educators, activists, anyone just interested in these racial justice issues. Do you have an ideal audience, Makia, for your particular workshop presentation?
I would say, building off of what Rinku said a moment ago, that I think across social justice movements, individuals and folks in organizations and campaigns that are really struggling with this question of how to insert a racial justice analysis into fights that are pretty big and significant, right? So whether the issue is working on the death penalty, or whether the issue is working on climate change, across the board, we struggle with this question of class versus race. We struggle with this question of, immediate victories versus long-term change. All of us are struggling with those questions, and some of those are about structural racism, and some of them are about approaches to change. And so I think that folks who are struggling with the question of how do I approach my campaign, my organizational strategies, and my movement building strategies with through a racial justice lens, in partnership with others, those are the folks that we really want to talk to.
Right. Thank you. Now, I wanted to. I would be remiss if I did not sort of mention what moment we're in currently, with having a summer dealing with so many different political, racial issues. In particular, Ferguson. I'm sure there are some, folks out there wondering, well, how is this conversation, or how is this conference going to be in conversation with perhaps current events that are happening around Ferguson, around Jordan Davis, around all these multiple issues at the intersection of racial justice and perhaps policing and gender. Rinku, could you talk a little bit about how perhaps those conversations might look like at Facing Race?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are definitely some workshops that are taking on those kinds of criminal justice and policing issues in particular. So there's a workshop on surveillance in communities of color and how we can fight the kind of the surveillance state. There's a workshop on the effects of the post 9/11 anxiety, national anxiety on South Asians, Arabs, and Muslims. There are workshops about reforming the criminal justice system and the juvenile justice system. So there will be plenty of content, kind of formal content, in which I think current events will come up. And I'll just note that yesterday we actually had a victory because Michael Dunn, who was the shooter, the killer of Jordan Davis, was retried on the particular charge of having killed Jordan. If people remember, Michael Dunn was convicted of attempted murder because he shot at the three other people who were in the car with Jordan, but there was a hung jury on the charge of murder for Jordan's shooting in particular. So yesterday, the retrial ended, and the verdict came back guilty in the first degree. So all of the things that the movement did after the first trial, which essentially acquitted Michael Dunn of Jordan Davis's murder, of the actual death that had occurred in that incident, that got turned in the retrial. So that's a significant and important victory, at least to me. So I will say that we are talking with various sets of people in the St. Louis area and some other places. can't make any commitments on the phone today or on the Hangout today, but we're working hard to get people who are on the front lines right at this moment, and who might need both the resources that Facing Race has to offer, and who from whom we know that Facing Race participants would like to hear. We are working on a couple of surprises. So if they happen, then you'll know at the conference, and if they don't, I never promised it.
Well, we love surprises, so that's an incentive for people to get their registrations in and see us in Dallas. I want to switch gears just a little bit. We were talking about content for the first half hour. I'm going to switch a little bit to some of the questions that are coming from social media, a lot of them having to do with logistic questions. So if you have a question, for those who are tuning in, please tweet your questions to Race Forward, or you can post on our Facebook page. We have someone who is manning the questions right now, literally. But we do have some questions for Rosanna in terms of logistics. There's actually a question from Kimberly Charles. This one I can answer. Will this Google Hangout be archived? Yes, it will. So for folks who were unable to join us, they can replay this on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Here's another question from Kimberly. For those not staying at the hotel, what's the parking situation like? Rosanna,
yes.
Do you have any intel on that?
Yeah, so one of the things is that the Anatole is a little spendy. It can be. So one of the things that we were able to do, it's a $20 parking fee daily, but we were able to get a special discount for our participants. So it will be $12 a day to park at the Anatole. And so that's, people should factor that in to their budgeting, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. It's a, you know, kind of click in, click out parking lot.
Okay. That's important, yeah. And another question, a lot of questions actually coming in about childcare. So what are folks doing for childcare? What is the childcare space like, and what kind of activities can we expect for different age groups? This is coming in from Kimberly Charles. She wants to know about the childcare situation.
Thanks for the questions, Kimberly. And we're really excited that we're able to offer free childcare. It is on a first-come, first-served basis, and it's filling up really quickly. So we got such a huge response that we had to add childcare, and that's starting to fill up. So there's only a few slots left. There is free childcare from, I believe it's 9 to 5 or 10 to 5 on Friday and Saturday. So in the evenings, there's not childcare. The organization that's providing childcare for us, which is called Mom's Best Friend, is available for you to hire them individually, directly for additional childcare. But during the daytime sessions, there will be childcare available. We're also really focused on making sure that there's child-friendly spaces. The space that the childcare is happening in is one of the presidential suites in the Anatole. It's a big space for the kids, and there's also just a lot of space. The older kids will be able to, the childcare providers will be able to take them, you know, give them a little bit of outdoor time. So that's one of the things that we're going to make sure happens. And, you know, it'll be in the hotel, so it's really accessible for parents to be able to drop in and check in on the kids. And again, we're really wanting to make sure that people know that, you know, we want the whole conference to be child-friendly and accessible for parents. So there will be, you know, kids in some of the workshops, I'm sure, and we'll see, you know, some babies here and there that we'll be passing around and loving on. So we're really excited for that next generation of racial justice superheroes to join us at the conference.
We love kids.
Yes, we love.
Yes,
yeah, I was just gonna say that we love the baby.
We do.
That's. Yeah. So I also have another question coming in. I think I can answer this one. Davis Carla on Facebook is asking, well, I'm a radio producer for the Dallas Weekly on Air. Hello, wonderful. I will be coming to cover the event, and Davis Carla wants to know who the person should be of contact here at Race Forward. You can go ahead and contact Rebecca Spiguglia at rspicuglia@raceforward.org, or you can also go onto the website facingrace.raceforward.org, scroll down, and you'll see the contact information for media inquiries. We love media, too, as much as we love children, so all the more folks are welcome. Another question, a lot of questions, too, coming in about the hotel situation. So the Anatole, and Rosanna, if you can clarify this for us, the Anatole, is it booked, and what's going on with the DoubleTree? What should people know about that?
Right, so we are really thrilled at the overwhelming response that we've had. We booked out our block of rooms at the Anatole, and they're sold out. So now if folks are looking for lodging for the conference, they should go to the DoubleTree, which is just 2 doors down from the Anatole. Now we're talking about Texas, so 2 doors down is a 5-minute walk, but there are sidewalks. So it is 2 doors down, and we have a special rate. The great thing about the DoubleTree is that they do have free Wi-Fi in the rooms, and they have free parking, which is something that's not offered at the Anatole. So you get a little perk even though you don't get into the Anatole directly, but that number of rooms is also limited, and we just didn't expect such a huge response. We figured we're going to Dallas, it's a little bit far afield from our usual crowd, maybe we won't get as many people. We're blowing our numbers out of the water, so folks should get on it.
And speaking of that, we have a question from Facebook about
it's the DoubleTree. Oh, hold on. It's the DoubleTree.
Sorry, go ahead.
Market Center, because Dallas is big and there are a lot of hotels. So it's the DoubleTree Market Center, which is right next to the Anatole.
Wonderful. We have a question about, you mentioned we are filling up. Someone on Facebook asked, I heard you are almost sold out. Is that true? And we're talking about registrations here. What's the intel on registrations, Rosanna? Are we almost sold out?
We're really close. We have a lot of big groups coming in, and that's why the tickets are going so fast. So it's hard for me to say, I expect that if we're going at the rate that we're going, we'll be sold out in the next 10 days. But that's if we keep at the rate that we're going. So if we go more than the rate that we're going, like if everybody registers today, then we might sell out sooner. So yeah, it's a great problem to have, but we really want to encourage folks to get your foot in the door now.
Yes, absolutely. Rinku, we have a question coming in from Twitter from the GLSEN Education is asking, there's 2 questions. So I'll ask you the first question. What are you all looking forward to the most this year at the conference? Is there anything that Rinku, that you can say that we're looking forward to most this year?
Well, I think that I can say what that is for me. So since we started doing this conference, it used to happen in a different form, starting as early as 2004. We have really learned a lot, both in our own strategy as an organization and in putting this particular gathering together, about the ways in which art and culture and storytelling and images make a difference. And so I think that every year we get a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more clear about the relationship between what many people think of as hard politics and cultural politics. We think of cultural politics as also being hard politics. We don't think of culture as being like the soft side of politics. But I think over the years we've gotten better and better at making cultural change, at recognizing cultural change, and at equipping people culturally to do this work. And so I think that folks will come and see, and they'll feel the deep ways in which we have integrated art and culture into everything we do, including the conference. So at a lot of conferences, when you go, the art is, it's an occasional performance, or there might be some kind of visual exhibit space, but it often doesn't seep into the actual content of the discussion, and that is a very different. Our conference provides a really different take on that and experience of that. And I think that doing it that way, really integrating art and culture not just into the spirit building activity, but also into the strategy and the skills that we're building as a movement, that leaves people feeling, leaving the conference with a feeling of renewal and of holistic strategy, that we're not kind of dealing with 2/3 of what we need to do and missing a whole third, which is how people, what kind of story we tell ourselves about ourselves and what we tell other people about us. So I'm really looking forward to that, to us as an organization taking the next step in that, and to hearing the reactions of the Facing Race participants to that work that we've done and that approach that we take.
Great. Malkia, can you chime in on that? What are you looking forward to most? I think that some folks out there on Twitter want to hear from you as well, as someone being outside the organization. What are you looking forward to?
Well, one of the things I'm looking forward to is seeing all my comrades. I think Facing Race is an incredible place to both meet people, do some networking, but also, our movement is big and yet small, right? It's huge, and there's so many people, and most of the time, the only way that we get to see each other is at these spaces, and I think Facing Race is an incredible meeting place, right? It's an incredible community space. I'm also looking forward to Bernice Johnson Reagan. What? I want to see that sister speak. I want to hear what she has to say, and all of the keynotes and speakers that are happening at more of the plenary sessions. I think that so it's an incredible way to really build shared analysis, start to really both receive and offer each other thought leadership in a way that we don't often get a chance to do. So I think that's incredible. And building off what Rinku said just a moment ago, the art, the culture, the ability to engage in our political work through, many of us are creatives, we enter organizing through the lens of creativity. And I think that many conferences that I've been to don't really offer a vehicle to be that person in that space. And I think Facing Race does. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then finally, I don't know if you've looked at the program. I looked at it carefully because I'm trying to find all my friends, and see what they're doing. So I had to examine it, very closely. And in that process, I saw that the number of issues that are being touched in this conference is just amazing, right? I mean, across sector, across issue, across geography, amazing. And then two, the fact that the types of leaders that are being brought to the space. We're not just going to hear from academics, but we are going to hear from academics. We're not just going to hear from artists, but we are going to hear from artists. We're not just going to hear from people on the front lines on the ground, but we are going to hear from people on the front lines on the ground. And I just don't think that particularly when it comes to in this moment of building a front line for racial justice, there is no other space like it. And so you asking me to pick one thing that I'm looking forward to be real, I can't do it. And I'm not even going to try. I'm looking forward to all those different parts. That's why I'm going for the whole thing, even though I got mad work to do. I'm going from beginning to the end so I can do all the things I want to do. That's it.
That's perfect.
Well, I think that was an amazing answer. I don't think anybody could top that. All of us here have obviously been to Facing Race previously, my first experience of facing race was in 2008, and it was just an amazing experience for me. Rosanna, we have a question from Twitter, again from the GLSEN Education, for first-time attendees. So these are the people that have never been to Facing Race before. What can they do to make this the best experience for them? So what would a first-time attendee experience at Facing Race?
Well, thanks, Glisten, for all the questions. And I wanted to just, first of all, warn people, it is going to be a marathon. So eat your Wheaties. Like, really prepare yourself physically, because the Anatole is a very large space. So it's spread out, you know, Texas, everything's bigger. So folks should definitely come prepared to do a little bit of walking. The days are kind of long, so, you know, be prepared that you're going to want to be at a lot of stuff. So pace yourself and make sure that you, we're hoping that folks will be able to kind of really review the program ahead of time and get a sense of what they're into. But I think also for first-time attendees, I remember the first time that I went, I was just so overwhelmed. I just kind of like followed people around, you know, and the relationships to me that I built. I mean, I met Rinku and Malkia and Melissa Harris Perry and, you know, so many people who are kind of great, awesome people in my life. I met them at Facing Race. And so really just kind of meeting people and staying open to making those connections kind of puts the other expectations aside. So, you know, definitely make sure that you build in some downtime too. We have an amazing film series called Race Flicks that will be happening. We have a beautiful art gallery with artists from all over the country. There's going to be vendors who are going to be bringing like the hottest stuff, you know, the racial justice marketplace. So definitely, and there's, you know, spaces to just crash out and relax and talk to people. And sometimes those spaces are the most fertile and most beautiful. So make sure that you build in a little bit of downtime for yourself and, you know, get an opportunity to really, like, dig into that program that we've got online.
Can I add to that by saying that when on my first Facing Race conference, I did 3 things that I thought were very helpful. One is I marked up my program book with what I wanted to do each day. Number 2 is I delegated out to other people that I came with things I couldn't go to, but I want to know about it. And I'm like, you go to that, you know? So we spread that out. And really that meant we were able to have dialogue when we got back, you know, about what we learned. And 3, I chose not to go to things that where I already knew a lot about the issue. You know, I went to things that were new to me, you know, things where I needed to learn something, because there's so much richness, there's so much to learn. So I went to things where I was really going to be able to build for myself, my own leadership. And I want to encourage folks who are coming for the first time to use this as an opportunity for leadership development for yourself, professional development for yourself, networking for yourself. And those were 3 things that I thought were really helpful in my first time.
Yeah, I have to echo that too. Having been there before in 2008, I think it was an amazing networking opportunity. The same people that I met in 2008 in media and justice work are the same people that I know and love today. So again, it is a conference like none other. I wanted to also give a little bit of a shout out to Miss Sustainable on Twitter. She is saying that she's looking forward to Facing Race 14. She says her question is if anyone is looking for a roomie during the conference, she would love to share an Airbnb. So I guess you can just, if anyone out there wants to share rooms, just go ahead and tweet Miss Sustainable. That's MISSUSTAINABLE. I will say be careful with Airbnb. Just make sure you're safe. We want everyone to be safe, safe. I know that folks want to be frugal, but also please do be safe. We are 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes left. That went so fast. I wanted to give a little bit more information before we close out. There are some vending opportunities for at Facing Race because Facing Race is about connecting communities and spreading transformative social justice ideas. We're offering folks a chance to sell and or promote any publications, merchandise, brochures at Facing Race. If you have any questions on pricing and logistics, please contact our Oakland Operations Manager, Darlene Pagano. You can email her at dpagano@10-653-3415. So vendors out there, I know you're out there because we get some inquiries from you. So please do feel free to contact us directly. We also have, we're also doing some really cool stuff with September Shares. We had a wonderful month last month on Facebook where we invited our followers to share Facing Race content, and for those who did share, they were entered to win a free registration for Facing Race plus a guest. And today we are so excited to announce that winner of the September Shares, and I will hand it over to Rinku to announce the winner.
Okay.
Rinku, take it away.
There's a little technical glitch, but I think Tara just turned it over to me to announce the winner of our September Shares contest. Yes. And that is Yasmin Gabriel. Yasmin Gabriel, you have won a free registration to Facing Race. Thank you so much for all of your hardcore sharing of Facing Race material. And we're really looking forward to having you. You can get in touch with us so that we can make arrangements for your registration. And I'll just note that we're going to be doing this contest in October too. And so, particularly if we close registration early, the winner of the October shares might get the only foot in after we close registration. So a really good motivator, hopefully, to share and share and share. And for everyone who doesn't, able to make it to Facing Race, there will definitely be lots of content shared out of it on social media during the weekend itself, and also afterwards. So please join the community by signing up on our email lists and in our social media sites, even if you can't make it to the conference, because it's a community that's going to stick together in between conferences, and we definitely want to include you.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And we just posted a tweet about the October opportunity, so you can check that out on our Race Forward Twitter. Rosanna, you have some announcements for us as well.
Yeah, it's like if those of you who are old enough to remember the Ginzu knives, but then there's more. We have this amazing content, Thursday night through Saturday evening, but also we have this amazing pre-conference Thursday during the day. So all y'all, Love Field is open now. Come in early and join us for some of these amazing pre-conferences. One thing I really want to hype is our host committee. Much love and respect to them. They've worked so hard, and they've put together an amazing tour of Dallas. It goes from 12 to 5. You're going to see all of the racial history of Dallas, well, a piece of it that you can fit into that time block, but they've really put together a beautiful tour, and you can buy tickets to that on our Eventbrite page, and we will tweet that out so that y'all can check it out, but they've really done an amazing job. It's going to have a full script that you hear on the bus, and then go and visit different racial justice groups and historical sites in Dallas. And then for those who maybe are interested in getting our training, which we do all across the country for groups that are trying to get a deeper analysis of racial justice work within their own work, we are doing our Racial Justice Leadership Institute. We've got a special discount for people who are attending Facing Race, so we really want people to know that that is an opportunity for them to participate and get involved and learn more about how to bring racial justice work with a stronger analysis into their organizations and work. So we'll be tweeting that out in the next couple of days.
Thank you so much. So let's close this up. I want to thank our guests, Rinku, Rosanna, and Malkia, who had to leave early. Your time is just invaluable, so we thank you so much. And thank you, everyone out there who joined us. I have one more announcement, but we have to let our executive director go. I will be in trouble if I do not. The video producer will get at me if I don't announce this. Race Forward is currently entered in the Idea Paint contest. So Race Forward recently entered a competition to get our office space repainted. We do a lot of really good racial justice work here, but unfortunately our space is kind of lackluster. So the competition ends October 8th. Please head over to Facebook and look at our video submission and just click like. That equals 1 vote. The more votes we get, the better chance we have of winning. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Rosanna, for staying with us.
Thank you. And see you in Dallas.
Yes, see you in Dallas. And this conversation will be archived, so come back and join us on Race Forward on Twitter and on Facebook. We will post the video shortly. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.